Well, it's finally here. We knew this day was going to come with cryptocurrency. There had been a lot of talk about how unregulated this whole part of the financial world was. So now we see Sam Bankman Fried arrested down in the Bahamas. He is the co founder of FTX, one of the cryptocurrency institutions that people were using. He was arrested Monday, December 12th, in his apartment down in the Bahamas. Now, from what we know so far, because it appears the indictment is still sealed, I've got a list based on some research that I've done of what he might be accused of doing. Hold on one second. Somebody, I can't remember who, is reporting that from some of their sources, this is what they think it's going to come down to: securities fraud, securities fraud conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, and money laundering. Now, of course, this is coming out of the Southern District of New York, U.S. prosecutors there. That doesn't mean the Bahamas is not running its own investigation. So there may be that aspect of it too. Now, don't forget, there are all of those civil lawsuits that were levied against some of the influencers and celebrities who had been pushing FTX. So we've just seen this sort of storm brewing around this for a very long time. Part of the concern, though, is hey, why is SBF Sam Bankman Fried doing so much talking? As an attorney, typically you tell your client to hush up. Let's have a plan, a strategy. Let's figure out what the evidence is going to, what the government is going to be coming after you for. And you're not going to be out there doing all of this talking. Well, the more you're out there, the more people are going to ask questions about what's happening. So when FTX started its downfall, members of Congress came out and started saying, hey, we want you to come speak before our committee. Let me head over to Twitter, see if I can bring this up for Maxine Waters. She's a member of Congress. And, she had extended to him this invitation to come and speak before one of the committees. But I want to pull up what she put on Twitter after hearing of his arrest, because this was a really big deal here. Excuse me, I have been having lots of allergy issues lately, but let's pull this up and see what she says. Okay, statement on the arrest of Sam Bankman Fried for immediate release, and this was yesterday, December 12th, 2022. Chairwoman Waters' statement on the arrest of Sam Bankman Fried, Washington, D.C. Following the news that Sam Bankman Fried was arrested in the Bahamas, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Democrat out of California, chairwoman of the House Financial Services Committee, released the following statement. And this is the statement. I am surprised. Really? Okay, so let me just stop. Like, really? Are you really? Because I don't think you're really. I am surprised to hear that Sam Bankman Fried was arrested in the Bahamas at the direction of the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. It's about time the process to bring Mr. Bankman Fried to justice has begun. However, as the public knows, my staff and I have been working diligently for the past month to secure Mr. Bankman Fried's testimony before our committee tomorrow morning. We received confirmation this afternoon from Mr. Bankman Fried and his lawyers that he was still planning to appear before the committee tomorrow, but then he was arrested. Although Mr. Bankman Fried must be held accountable, the American public deserves to hear directly from Mr. Bankman Fried about the actions that have harmed over 1 million people and wiped out the hard earned life savings of so many. The public has been waiting eagerly to get these answers under oath before Congress, and the timing of this arrest denies the public this opportunity. While I am disappointed that we will not be able to hear from Mr. Bankman Fried tomorrow, we remain committed to getting to the bottom of what happened, and the committee looks forward to beginning our investigation by hearing from Mr. John Ray III tomorrow. So that was the chair of the committee there reporting. Yeah, she says it's about time the process to bring Mr. Bankman Fried to justice has begun. So I don't know why that started with the I'm surprised. I don't know. Maybe she felt like I don't know. I hate to even comment on that. So yeah. Um, yeah. All right. The other thing I wanted to switch over to is, as I've been saying before, Sam Bankman-Fried has been doing all of this talking on Twitter. People love to go to social media now and just share everything. It has become such an important tool for law enforcement, for investigative purposes, and for anyone who's looking at even a civil suit. A lot of times people will share so many things that they really shouldn't be sharing there. But once you get used to it, I think it's really hard for people to stop doing it. And I think with SBF, I really think he thought that by having some open, by being open and transparent, that somehow by saying, oh, I didn't intend to commit fraud. Oh, I didn't really know what I was doing, that is somehow going to make him less culpable for what he actually did. I don't think he, is getting the gist of this. But let's head over to his Twitter page. Now, he hasn't been over there for a little while, but I want to take a look at it and just sort of show you some of what's been going on here. Now, first of all, note that he has 1.1 million followers there. And my fan is kicking up on my laptop because I've got so many things running off of it. He's got 1.1 million followers, okay? And so he's all on Twitter talking about some of the issues going on at the beginning of December. Number one, I still do not have access to much of my data, professional or personal. So there is a limit to what I will be able to say, and I won't be as helpful as I'd like. But as the committee still thinks it would be useful, I'm willing to testify on the 13th. And that's what Congresswoman Waters was referring to. And that hearing is scheduled to start in a little over an hour. Okay, part two, he says, I will try to be helpful during the hearing and to shed what light I can on, let's go down his list here, FTX US's solvency and American customers, pathways that could return value to users internationally, what I think led to the crash, my own failings. Part three, he says, I had thought of myself as a model CEO who wouldn't become lazy or disconnected. Okay, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's just stop right there for a second, because he is now taking actions and trying to define them as, oh, well, I was just lazy. Again, stepping away from accountability, because that's not being accountable. And remember, that was one of the things Congresswoman Waters said. Okay, you need to be accountable for what happened. You need to be transparent and tell us what happened. Well, that is not an accountability statement. Look at what he's saying there. I thought of myself as a model CEO who wouldn't become lazy or disconnected. He is framing this on, I got lazy with some stuff. I got disconnected. Then he says, which made it that much more destructive when I did. I'm sorry. Hopefully people can learn from the difference between who I was and who I could have been. I would go to the comments there, but yeah. I made a lot of mistakes this year. Everybody makes mistakes. I will give you your props for saying I made a lot of mistakes this year. But this wasn't one of them. There's no evidence. And this has to do with another tweet that somebody else made that he is responding to. Once I have finished learning and reviewing what happened, I would feel like it was my duty to appear before the committee and explain. I'm not sure that will happen by the 13th, but when it does, I will testify. So really, he says, once I have finished learning and reviewing what happened, and then there's this piece down here, finance from yahoo.com. It says, experts say SBF may falsely be claiming ignorance to avoid criminal charges, because, there may be something to that, right? For a lot of criminal charges, there is the mens rea, the intentional aspect to do harm. If he's claiming, that this is missing, that the intent was not there, and this is not, some sort of strict liability charge that they're bringing forward, then yeah, that may help him. But I don't think so. Some of this is very clear. Did you do this or did you not? And your mental state may or may not come into play with some of these charges. Now, again, we don't really know what the charges are. I went down the list earlier of what some people are saying the charges might be that he that may be brought forth by the U.S. Prosecutors, but we don't know yet. So already he is trying to place himself in a position that says, I didn't intend to do harm. I didn't intend to commit fraud. There was no intent on my part. I didn't have the mens rea, is basically what he's trying to say. There was this other, one other thing that I did want to show you. Let me see if I can scroll down to it. That is really not quite what I have in mind, but let me see if I can scroll down to it, because there was this other thing. So then there are all of these talks people are having. When I filed, I'm fairly sure FTX US was solvent and that all US customers could be made whole. Let me see. Now, here's where I wanted to go. The Office of the Prime Minister for the Bahamas. When you got to give like a national address here.
The following is a national statement from the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Senator the Honorable
23
Ryan
minutes on the FTX collapse. So that's it. A lot more to watch as this proceeds through the U.S. courts, as it plays out, looking at what people lost with the downfall of FTX. Don't forget to go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel so that you can stay tuned as we continue to have these conversations about FTX. Peace.